Hey everyone, this is C Crypto Daily Buzz. Today is February 23rd, 2026. This channel summarizes the most important crypto news for investors in Southeast Asia, including the Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, and OFW communities using crypto and remittance every day. Let's go through 3 key stories you should know in today's crypto market. South Korea's top regulator is meeting local exchanges today to push a tougher Bithumb law after the recent scandal. First, regulation in Asia. Korea's Financial Services Commission is holding a meeting with domestic digital asset exchanges to discuss the second phase of its Digital Asset Basic Act, with a strong focus on new rules inspired by the recent Bithumb case. Proposals on the table include forcing exchanges into bank-led consortiums with banks owning more than 50% plus one share, limiting any single major shareholder in an exchange to 15–20%, and imposing bank-grade internal controls, external audits of reserves, and strict liability for system failures. If passed, these rules would make it much harder for opaque owners to control exchanges and would push the industry closer to traditional financial institution standards. For investors in Southeast Asia, including those trading on Korean platforms or watching their own regulators in the Philippines and Vietnam, this is a signal that Asia's big markets are moving toward heavier oversight, which could reduce some risks but also increase compliance costs and pressure on smaller exchanges. Second, Bitcoin sentiment and positioning. Korean retail surveys and futures data show more fear than greed, with many traders still expecting another leg down for Bitcoin. A recent survey of Korean crypto investors showed that only about 15.5% expect Bitcoin to rise next week, while more than half, roughly 52.8%, expect prices to fall or plunge. And about 57.4% describe their mood as fear or extreme fear. When asked about the likely bottom for this correction, the largest group, 33.6%, said they expect BTC to revisit the 5x1000 zone, followed by 30.1% at 60,000, 21.2% below 50,000, and only 15.1% betting on 65,000 as the low. Futures data from major derivatives exchanges shows long and short positions are currently very balanced, with global BTC perpetual split almost 50-50 between longs and shorts. My view for Southeast Asia investors is that this mix, heavy fear in surveys but no extreme leverage skew, suggests a market that is nervous but not yet in full capitulation. It's a risky place to over-leverage, but also a spot where disciplined spot buyers can prepare scenarios instead of chasing every bounce or crash headline. Third, a quick reminder from the Philippines market. The Philippines keeps tightening the screws on unlicensed platforms. Regulators such as the National Telecommunications Commission have ordered local ISPs to block access to around 50 unlicensed crypto trading platforms, while the central bank and SEC continue to support a list of regulated exchanges and even a sandbox for new virtual asset services. Licensed platforms like Coinness and PDX are expanding services, including stablecoin-powered corridors for cross-border transfers between the Philippines and markets like the US, Canada, and the UAE. For OFWs and families depending on remittance, this split between licensed and unlicensed channels is critical. Regulated exchanges may feel slower, but are more likely to survive regulatory crackdowns. For traders and builders in Southeast Asia, the opportunity is increasingly around compliant infrastructure that connects banks, e-wallets, and stablecoins. To sum up today's stories, Korean regulators are meeting exchanges to push bank-style rules after the Bithumb scandal. Bitcoin surveys and derivatives show a market still dominated by fear rather than euphoria. And the Philippines continues to strengthen licensed exchanges and stablecoin rails. This video is for information and education only and is not financial advice. All investment decisions and risks are your own responsibility. If this video was helpful, please subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notification bell. Thanks for watching C Crypto Daily Buzz, and I'll see you in the next episode.